Gary, the Stars were out last night in Philly. The Sixers rallied from a 17-point deficit to beat your Memphis Grizzlies. This one went down to the wire, a true heavyweight bout between two of the league's top teams.
Yeah, it was a really fun game that went back and forth. You had high-level plays. You saw there Joel Embiid block Ja Morant at the rim. There was another moment in the game where Jaren Jackson blocked Joel Embiid at the rim. The Grizzlies, like you said, they were up 17 at one point, up 6 heading into the fourth, and just couldn't close it. They got outscored 35-24 in the fourth. It was still a 3-point game, 20 seconds left. Desmond Bane had a 3, missed it. Got an offensive rebound, took another 3, missed it. Grizzlies got another offensive rebound. Jaren Jackson Jr. took a 3, missed it. So there was plenty of opportunities, good looks from good shooters. They just could not deal with what Philadelphia brought at them in the fourth quarter of that game. And it's a little bit of a pattern now with this Grizzlies team because they are unbelievable at home. They almost never lose at FedEx Forum, but they are well under 500 on the road. And this one last night was one they had at least somewhat in their grasp, and like they often do on the road, they let it slip away.
And I guess if you're a Memphis fan, which I know you are to some degree, you hope this is experience that you take into the postseason and not allow it to become a trend.
There's no question, because the best thing you can say about these Grizzlies is that they are really good, second place in the West, and their best players are 24, 23, and 23 years old. But there's a flip side to that, and it could be a question of maturity. Why are you so different at home than you are on the road? I don't know that I have a definitive answer to that question, but the fact that their best players are all under the age of 25 might have something to do with it.
Another day, another triple-double for Nikola Jokic. 24 points, Gary, 18 boards, 13 assists for the two-time, maybe soon-to-be three-time MVP as the Nuggets defeated the Cavs. And this was a tough matchup for Jokic going against Cleveland's front court. But, man, he got the job done once again.
It was a tough matchup on paper, but once we got on the court and on paper, he made it look easy. He's unbelievable. 24 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists.
13 assists, to me, is the one that's...
He is a special, special talent, still averaging a triple-double on the season. And you've got it right. He is about to be a three-time MVP, a 3 straight MVP. And I think heading into this season, NBA MVP voters were like looking for anybody else to vote for. Like there was real voter fatigue. So let's do Joel Embiid or Jason Tatum or Luka Doncic or Ja Morant. But as we sit here on February 24th, if you're turning in a ballot for that award, you can't sensibly turn in a ballot that has anybody at the top of it other than Nikola Jokic. He is averaging a triple-double for a team that is in first place in the West with a 6-game cushion. So he's the best player on the best team in the West in player efficiency rating, number 1 in the entire NBA. He's about to be a 3 straight MVP, and when he does it, he will join a club that only includes 3 people right now. Only 3 people have ever done that in the NBA: Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Larry Bird.
Impressive. The Celtics outlasted the Pacers in overtime. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 61 points. Maybe outside of that, or including that, or how defense wasn't played, what stood out to you in this game?
Well, obviously, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both played in the All-Star game, and then they brought the All-Star game to the regular season.
Defensive scheme.
Yeah, it was like, hey, last time we played in the All-Star game, we didn't have to guard anybody, so maybe we don't guard anybody tonight either. Indiana shot 52.1% from the field. Miles Turner put 40 on them, but ultimately, Boston did what it had to do to get the win. You shouldn't have to score 142 in regulation, 142 to beat the Pacers. But, if that's what you got to do, go do it. They did it, and it's why they are the best team in the East and the favorite to represent the East in the NBA Finals.
The Lakers took down the Warriors, obviously without Steph Curry, with a 124-111 win. LeBron got a lot of help from the Lakers' deadline additions. 25 points from Malik Beasley, Rui Hachimura, and Mo Bamba contributed with double-figure output. So does this point in the right direction for what this team could do to try and claw their way back into the postseason?
I think absolutely. If I were a Lakers fan, you don't go to a game wanting to see LeBron James and Anthony Davis combine for 25, but I'm really encouraged that they only combined for 25 and the Lakers were still able to get a win. Obviously, Steph Curry not playing for the Warriors gives the Lakers an advantage. Everything's hard for Golden State without Steph. But still, LeBron was, normal, or at least like a normal human. He was human. Anthony Davis was whatever. And yet Malik Beasley went big. He's a recent acquisition. They now have pieces in place in LA that are good enough where LeBron doesn't have to be superhuman to get a win. And that's encouraging going forward. They're now just 1.5 games out of the play-in. It appears they're going to get there. And I don't know that we'll ever consider these Lakers a legitimate NBA Finals contender. But like LeBron has said many times, you give me good enough pieces and put me in a 7-game series, and I'll try to figure it out. He believes they can do it, and I won't bet against him necessarily because he spent about 20 years proving people wrong.
I was going to say it's been a bad bet for a while.
Yeah.
Lastly, the Mavs rolled over the Spurs, and this was the first win for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving working together in Dallas.
This is what it's supposed to look like. Luka got 28 and 10, Kyrie got 23 and 6. The Spurs are only a 14-win team, so let's take the competition into consideration. But whatever Dallas is going to accomplish this regular season going forward, and once the playoffs start, it's going to be tied to those two guys. Like, can they be special? Because you can talk about Kyrie off the court and talk about Luka Doncic as a defensive liability, but these are two of the very best, most talented basketball players in the world. I'm not certain it's going to work short-term or long-term, but the idea of it working revolves around a lot of what you saw last night.
We're back and we're shining on basketball. We start, Gary, in the SEC, where the season has not gone as hoped for Ole Miss. And today the Rebels opted to make a change, firing head coach Kermit Davis, who was in his 5th season in Oxford with only 1 tournament appearance over the course of that span. You were telling me in the break there, this is a tough job, but why was this the right move for Ole Miss, if it was?
Well, ultimately, it's a bottom-line business, and I really like Kermit Davis. I hate to see this. This is a man I've known for a long time. He's the head coach of, my home state school. My wife graduated from Ole Miss. I was hoping that he would do well there, and it got off to a nice start. He went to the NCAA tournament in year 1, but it's been mostly bad stuff since then. They are 22-47 in the SEC since he went to the NCAA tournament in year 1. So I think most of us who follow this sport, cover this sport, knew that a change was coming at Ole Miss after this season, that Kermit Davis would not be back next season. A little surprised that it was announced in February, but either way, the bottom line's the same. Ole Miss is going to be looking for a basketball coach, and some names that get thrown around: Florida Atlantic, Dusty May, former Texas coach Chris Beard. Obviously, with that one, there's a lot of complicated stuff to work through, but he is one of the names that they are at least on some level reportedly interested in kicking the tires on, for lack of a better phrase.
Let's get to some of the highlights from last night, starting in the Pac-12. Number 4, UCLA, won on the road against Utah. That's now 7 straight wins for the Bruins. Are they a team to watch as we head into March?
They certainly are. They're a team that is moving, at least in contention, to maybe be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Evan, I'm about to blow your mind.
Uh-oh, look out.
What would you say if I told you last night UCLA got 2 quadrant 1 wins in one day? They woke up, the Bruins did yesterday morning, with 4.
This is when you know the system may need some tweaking.
Yesterday, at this time, UCLA was 4-4 in quadrant 1. Then they go out and beat Utah on the road because Utah's in the 50s of the net. That qualifies as a quadrant 1 win because a road win over anybody in the top 75 of the net. Keep up with me, try to follow.
I got
the top 75 of the net, that qualifies as a quadrant 1 win. Meantime, Washington State won at Stanford last night. Washington State was 79th in the net before the game. This morning when it updates, they're 73rd. So now Washington State's inside the top 75 of the net. Back in December, UCLA won at Washington State. That now qualifies as a quadrant 1 win. So in a matter of one night, UCLA went from 4 quadrant 1 wins to 6 quadrant 1 wins. They're now 6-4 in that first quadrant. No additional losses. I wouldn't have them as a number 1 seed right now, but if Purdue, Houston, Alabama, Kansas, any of those schools slip up in the coming days or weeks, UCLA is right there playing really well.
This reminds me of what a successful person told me once. You know you're making real money when you're making it while you're sleeping. And it sounds like UCLA made some coin while they were hitting their head on the pillow. All right, in the Big Ten, Illinois took down Northwestern with a 66-62 win. The Illini outscored the Wildcats 47-25 in the second half.
Yeah, that's 2 straight wins for Illinois. Brad Underwood's got that program headed back in the right direction. Northwestern, listen, even with last night's loss, this is a great story. Picked near the bottom of the Big Ten. now in second place in the Big Ten. The Wildcats, that just about does it for the Big Ten race. I mean, the byproduct of what happened last night in this game is that Purdue now has a 2-game lead in the Big Ten standings with only 3 games left to play, and Purdue's going to be favored in all of those games. So Purdue is going to be probably your outright Big Ten champion. Northwestern's dream of maybe catching them, that probably ended last night. But still, Northwestern is on track to be in the NCAA tournament for just the second time in school history. It's a wonderful accomplishment because Chris Collins entered this season on the so-called hot seat. Most people believe he needed to go to the NCAA tournament to continue to be Northwestern's coach. It looks like he's going to do that. That's usually when a contract extension comes right after your final game.
Good timing. I don't need to remind you this, but I will everyone else. Memphis defeated Wichita State 83-78. The Tigers are getting hot when it counts, winning 9 of their last 11.
Yeah, Penny Hardaway has done this, multiple years at Memphis. Had a little adversity hit his program, but he has a track record now of getting this team playing its best basketball in February and March. And last night's win was especially big. Now, I don't want to overstate it. Wichita State's not good. Memphis should win at Wichita State. But it was announced just before tip-off that Memphis's third leading scorer, Keontae Kennedy, is out for the season. Fractured his hand after punching a wall following the loss.
I've never heard the wall losing in that fight.
I punch pillows. If I get mad, I punch pillows because they're soft. I'm not punching anything
Walls,
hard.
Lockers,
Hands,
really anything. Try and stay away from them. We shouldn't be punching.
So he fractured his hand. He's out for the season, so Memphis was shorthanded. They got Kendrick Davis back. That was big. But at this point, it's pretty clear-cut for Memphis. I don't know that they have to beat Houston either in the regular season finale or the AAC tournament, but they really cannot lose to anybody else. And last night was an example of not losing to anybody else. They're on the right side of the bubble right now. I suspect going forward they'll stay there.
Michigan took down Rutgers in Piscataway. The Scarlet Knights have dropped 4 of their last 5. And Michigan, Gary, has a lot of work to do, but this was a nice resume booster.
Yeah, it looks like Michigan is now back in position to maybe make the NCAA tournament. And boy, it didn't look like that was going to be the case in December and January. They are in Jerry Palm's bracket up to first 4 out. Rutgers down to an 11 seed now, and it was just a really bad performance from the Scarlet Knights at home. They shot 38% from the field, 31% from 3, 31% from the free throw line. Really, really bad. And it's unfortunate because if you're a program like Rutgers, like on the bubble, trying to make the NCAA tournament, last thing you want to do is lose a home game to an inferior team. That is what they did last night. They still got time to do enough to make sure they're on the right side of the bubble selection Sunday, but that's one they didn't need to lose that one last night.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.